All right, everybody, welcome to the Rank 6 championship. This is going to be the finals for the Rank 6 championship. Kurono versus Kuzan. These two have both fought their way through all of the other competitors. We're going to get started with this match in just a little bit here.
Yep.
Joining me for today's cast is Yuji, current King of Hueco Mundo and Rank 8 semifinalist.
Yep. It should be pretty fun, honestly. I've been talking to Kuzan about it a little bit. There it goes. Kurono. I've watched Kurono fight a little bit, especially fight Hades a lot recently. I think they both have some pretty interesting strategies. I'm really interested on watching how they're gonna fight each other though, because I think Kuzan has an interesting way of fighting. He is really good at balancing his offensive and defensive plays. He's not like super one way or the other.
And these two are both balanced players, although Kurono is balanced offense and Kuzan is balanced. So they both have access to things like dual heals, dual resist, and all those kind of fun
Yeah,
things.
I actually think balance is better than I used to think it was. Opening up with the resurrection seal like right away.
Yeah, Kurono does not want to let Kuzan get any of those terrifying sword moves off.
Well, I'm not sure if anyone knows exactly what his sword is. I think it is more barrier trap. That barrier trap has actually been seeing a lot more popularity across all ranks
Yeah,
recently.
barriers have really come into their own lately, especially even to the point where we've seen some melee users using the spirit
Um,
barrier.
I really dislike fighting Yamato. He'll barrier trap and then use two more barriers to make it like a melee barrier trap. Uh,
People have been just building barrier forts these days,
oh god, I know it's
creating
like
interesting
uh,
shape. It's like Tetris up in here.
no, it's just like playing against. Oh wow, the ice like ate that.
I say it we. The I say it we discussed earlier in the last match is very strong at rank 5, still really strong at rank 6, so the people usually have one or two more movement squares. These guys, since they're balanced, they should both have 3 movement squares.
Yeah, so he has
However,
two
with the
right
ice
now.
taking one off, Kurono is only able to move 2 squares, which means he's stuck in that ice.
Actually, that was pretty perfect because of the way the barrier set it up, it forced him to stay in the ice.
Yeah, he really had nowhere to go with that.
Yeah, this is a good barrier trap. Resurrection moves is back on for Kuzan right now. Just ended,
Indeed.
so he has a
And
few
he's
things
also
going.
back into his ice AoE, so he can use that for his shield. And with Corona still being trapped, oh, there
Yeah,
goes the
there it goes.
next AoE. However, this means Corona should be able to move into that ice for his shield. He's got to be careful though. If he moves in, oh, okay, so he did move far enough. If he moved into that one square to his left, that square you could tell has actually been weakened by the poison, so
Yeah,
it would have been potentially subject to an attack by Kuzan.
it's been weakened by at least two squares, or like at least 1.5 squares of poison as well. So it's probably not that strong. Won't block that much. The nice thing about Kazan is he at least got a small nerf off on Chrono. So, and he also has the slight damage right now. I actually don't know the full cooldown on the poison that he used, but I'm gonna assume it's probably 7 turns, like most AOE's.
It probably is. The rank 6 AoEs might be 6 turns, but
Actually,
the
that
last time I
was a
checked, I think they're
custom one.
7. Oh, is it really? Well, if it's a custom
Yes,
one, then it's definitely probably going to be 7 turns. I believe they're all restricted to that.
it's because if I remember right, there isn't. I don't believe there's even a rank 6 AOE poison. If there is, it's not like that.
There may be a rank 5 one, if not a rank 6.
Yeah, I know there's a
Anyways, it looks
custom.
like Corona's backing off into his Ice AoE. He's waiting, just going to wait out that AoE from Kuzan. They're both just like sitting in their AoEs right now. It's an AoE party.
Yeah, it's what a lot of balanced and spirit fights look right now. Pretty heavy AOE parties. It's kind of fun when you watch it together though. It's really just more so annoying when you're melee against it. You run around the map for 8 years.
Looks like Kuzan's activating the offense boost. Corona opts to move back and use the lightning. With the angle that he's got there, there's no way Kuzan will be able to land a direct attack without having to break at least 2 tiles of AoE.
Kuzan could go for a boosted AOE on the AOE though,
That's
if
true,
he
he
has
could.
one. It could pretty beefy too. Boosted AOE is actually really scary. It can be incredibly strong.
However, when he has to clash through with the other one, the one advantage you could get out of it is all of the rows to the top will not be diminished by the lightning. So he'll be able to maybe clear out some of the lightning and then just move into the top undiminished squares to use those for
Yeah.
shield.
So that's still. This could potentially give. No, this should give Kurono his damage
It
advantage.
looks like Kuzan just waited.
Yeah.
So he's just
Um.
waiting there in the AoE with no extra defense on. When Kurona's opting to use the Resurrection Seal gun, I don't know if that's the right option. He
I
needs
wouldn't.
to land some damage sooner or later.
He didn't need to do that. I don't know if he. I assume everyone knows what Kuzan's sword is by now because it's. I think it's fairly obvious by out of watching it all the way around. He's in AOE already. Kuzan's sword it has a CR. He's not gonna CR even boosted at AOE because it's gonna diminish so much of the damage.
Yeah, with the CRs especially, the ones that have higher percentage put into the effect,
Yeah, it's
doing
the
them into
hunters.
AoE just significantly drops it. If you have an ability such as the rank 8 ability, which has a 15% residual for 2 turn effect, that ability you could still probably use
Yeah,
through an AoE because it's not going
yeah.
to be diminished that much. But when your attack has very low base power, it may not even break the AoE, or if
Yeah,
so,
if
it'll
I
do very
remember
low
right,
damage.
the CR he has is like a 4 base power, 100%. Yeah, it would have been good.
Kurono
But
comes out with a 2200 damage on the Kuzan. Alright, we're starting to make some
nice,
progress now. He's got him down
nice.
to 8700. That's not going to be enough with both of these being balanced and probably having dual heals.
Hmm.
I think these
Kuzan's
guys might be both running sword heals, but I'm not sure.
no, Kuzan definitely doesn't have a sword heal.
Yeah, alright, so they'll both probably rely on those shop heals with them being balanced. At this rank, with the damage, you can pretty much get by on both those sword heals. Rank 8 meta very heavily favors a sword heal, though.
Oh, it is. You pretty much have to have one unless you're balanced. If you're balanced, you can get away without running it in rank 8 because you just have 2 shops. And that works out
Indeed.
fine. The rank 8 meta with heals is kind of ridiculous. It's a lot better, especially in like balance fights in rank 6. I think balance fights are some of the funnest ones to watch at rank
Looks
6.
like we're back to World of Hiding behind rocks.
Yeah, I think Kuzan has a slight pull advantage, by the way.
He did wait 1 or 2 turns.
Yeah, he's waited a couple more turns than Kurono. We have to calculate in the move in stuff too, so the more you gotta keep track of how many times each one moves into. I say they're close, but I think Kuzan probably has like maybe 100 more on him. Not significant at the moment, but it could give that extra turn of like weakness kicking or not. It can matter.
It looks
Right
like
now,
Kuzan just used the dual resist, if I saw that right.
yeah, he used the door.
And
Both used the door.
Corona is following suit, even though Corona is also hiding behind the rock. With the range
No,
here, there's actually no way Kuzan can land a direct attack unless he decides to
no.
dissipate through the barrier, or through
I
the
am
obstacle rather.
almost certain neither one has dissipate actually. From what
Yeah,
I've seen in their fights, I mean, they could have slotted it in for this fight.
that
I
might
haven't
be
seen.
an adaptation if one of them makes for round 2 here. We might see, because
Mm,
with both of them having AOE's, dissipate is actually a very strong tool to deal with that.
it is not only just the AoEs, but both of them hiding behind rocks. Dissipate could really be something that can give you momentum right now. Um,
Corona's
I,
moving in. We're gonna see what kind of offense he's got here for Kuzan.
mm,
Oh, it looks like he uses the reflect
I
onto
thought that's
Kuzan.
what it was.
But with Kuzan using heavy AoEs, I'm not sure if this is going to
Actually,
be that effective unless Kuzan has plenty to recoil. But there's plenty of residual moves that you can use.
I
When you
think I
use a
know what this
residual
is gonna
move,
be.
it basically almost entirely circumvents the reflect.
It does.
He just opts to use the AoE instead, which completely the reflect doesn't do anything to that.
Yeah, I actually thought he might use his CR or his own reflect. Kuzan usually has a reflect from what I've seen. But the ice, it's actually probably smarter. He went with the ice AOE so he can move in now and then do it.
Yeah, he
He
gets to
can't
use it for
boost
his
it.
shield. The Soul Fight, actually, neither of them have healed that I've seen, but for some
No,
reason, wait, did Corona heal early? His health is
that
rather high. Kuzan's been
CR
ticked down fairly low, actually.
he has, but he just placed a CR on Corona.
Alright, so we got 560 damage coming out from the CR. Assuming that's probably a 4-turn CR, we can expect maybe 4,000 damage out of that.
It's a 60% base.
Oh,
Yeah,
alright. It's a little bit lower than that.
it'll probably be let's say 3,200, maybe 2,000, about that. Yeah, base of the takes about that much. Um, I actually think the rank 6, or I think it's a rank 5 CR is a pretty interesting move. I think it's pretty good if you use it right.
Corona's trading back with the rank 6 Ice AoE. They're both using the Ice AoEs now. That ability is just so strong that
They
they don't want
are,
to
but
go without it.
he did give Kuzan a free hit at the moment.
Indeed.
Oh, and
Interesting, but it
barrier.
doesn't break. The barrier does not break the
Wow.
last row of the ice, leaving Kurono
Yeah.
free to move into it. However,
Yeah.
since he's blocked off here, Kuzan will probably take this opportunity to heal. If he doesn't
Um.
take this opportunity to heal, he might be subject in the next turn or two to a heal reduction. A smart heal reduction played against the double heal user will really mess them up.
Oh yes, it can. Actually, oddly enough, a dissipate. He has dissipate equips. Well then, this is the first time I've seen it used from him this tournament.
Kuzan's finally starting to equalize the damage.
Oh, but it
He's
did miss one tile. He can still walk into that one full tile.
Oh, he still gets the shield from that. And
Yeah.
2,400 damage coming out. Kuzan's
Oof.
getting pretty low now, but however, with the heals at this rank doing about 7,000 heal, he should be able to heal just
Yeah.
below full, maybe to about 11,500 health.
He can honestly. If I would have moved closer to my barrier, I think. If he, mm, yeah, it doesn't
And there we
matter.
go, to heal 11,700 health. He's almost full, but he is still 1,000 health low, lower
Yeah.
than max. If Kurono can chain this with an offensive chain, he may be able to do some damage here.
An interesting thing, if Kurono decides to get offensive, but then Kuzan actually would happen to place an HR on him, that would give Kuzan quite a big lead too.
It would indeed. So Kurono has to decide whether he wants to try to press the advantage now while
Defensive
Kuzan's heal is on
AoE.
cooldown, or if he wants to use an early heal before Kuzan has a chance to mount any surprise attacks. We
Definitely.
saw in, I believe, the rank 6 semifinals, Kuzan actually won one match with a very surprise turnaround.
Yes, he did. It was a very good match between, I think it was him and Rain, or was it him and Dante? Him and
Yeah,
Dante.
Dante.
Yeah.
I believe Kuzan brought out the Immolate, and it
Yeah.
just killed Dante.
And if you, in case you guys are wondering why, his Immolate is his ulti. It has Immolate ulti has pretty high base damage.
Yeah,
It's easily
the normal sword immolates are only allowed 30% effect, the same with the shop abilities. But when you get an ultimate immolate, it's allowed 35% effect. And then when you
yeah.
include the fact that that scales even higher with levels, at rank 6 they don't have Bankai or Resurrection Segunda Etapa, so it won't have that extra 10% from that. But still, your 35% is going to turn into about 42%.
It is honestly a ridiculously extra amount of Immolate. So at
And
least
then
like
on top of that, the move has really good base power, so it does
uh
good damage too.
yeah, it's even with like because he has residual core, even using one CR into his ult Immolate is, in my opinion, slightly more effective than an ulti pure.
Alright, looks like they're both trading dual resists
Uh,
now.
Yeah, and because of the way tick timer's working, Kuzan's actually got his HP up. So almost the same as Chrono. It's roughly like it's like 600 off now. It's not even a full 1,000 off anymore.
With Kurono's lightning and Kuzan's poison being down, Kuzan
I
brings out the ice AoE. That's not quite enough to keep Kurono trapped in it. He's able to
it's
move to the side and get the flanking angle for a hit onto Kuzan. And it looks like he's opting for that sword seal. He's really scared of Kuzan's sword moves and
you
does
guys
not want to let him get them off.
are you guys paying attention? Because what I'm keeping track of, especially, is he keeps using the sword seal, which is really interesting. But if you notice, it originally hit for like 900. The second one hit for like 1,000. This one hit for 1,300. That extra pull weakness is really building up.
Yeah, their defense is dropping. Kurono's bringing out, or Kuzan's bringing out the compound residual again.
Mm-hmm.
That tick is not ticking as much as it was before.
It's
Before we
because
saw
he
about a
has DR. He has DR
yeah,
active.
the DR is still active.
It should be off. It should be off now, I believe.
And Kurono brings out his Ice AoE. We've seen these Ice AoEs clash multiple times now. Last time, Kuzan actually used the barrier to try to trap Kurono out of it. However, due to the
He should go
cooldowns, he might
offensive.
not have that barrier up for another turn.
He should go offensive right now, I think, because he can go offensive and then actually hop back into his own ice. Yeah, see, look at that tick. That is a nice tick. Oh, that
And the
hurts.
Immolate comes out, but it only brings Kurono down to 5,700. However, with him only having burned his heal a couple turns ago, there still will be a fair amount of heal reduction. So Kurono may want to buy some time before healing. Luckily, he has that full strength ice right there that he can use,
Yeah.
and he can counter back with his own abilities on the Kuzan. We'll see if he has some kind of damage.
Also, I don't believe that was Kuzan's ult, by the way. I.
Here comes a 1,200 damage with the leech on the Kuzan. Kurono knows that heal reduction is on himself. Rather than burn a second heal, he decides to use the HP leech, which is not
I
affected and does not increase heal reduction.
I actually meant to tell you something earlier about that, but it does seem like it seems to be recently Leech is at least a nice small counter to residuals and HR as well.
Yeah, we've seen a slight resurgence of the leeches recently, especially in the rank 8 semifinals where Yamamoto managed to defeat Yami with the help of an ultimate health
Yeah,
leech.
it is actually very funny. I didn't think about it at the time when I kind of somewhat created the build, but I never was able to fully understand the full potential of a one-turn leech or a leech being one turn in general, and it actually just about matches the same damage of a one-turn residual as far as healing goes. It can
Alright,
pretty
they're
much
bringing out the damage now. Looks like They're firing attacks back and forth. Kuzan is
CR.
stacking up those CRs again.
That
Looks
is
like
his custom CR.
Kuzan is building up for another big immolate combo. If he's got enough
Oh,
damage, the next one might be able to take out Kurono's health if he pops his ultimate onto it. We'll
that
see
yeah,
if
that is
Kurono's got a defensive measure to counter it. The health reduction should be worn off enough so that he could heal to full. He does indeed, but oh, and it looks like the other residual wore off. Kurono's only taking one residual plus the tick from Kuzan's residual core. So that's
yeah.
definitely not going to be enough to immolate all that health down.
Oh no, it's not. But Kuzan hasn't healed in quite a while himself, and based off their movesets from what I'm counting, I don't believe either one of them has HR equipped. So I think Kuzan, if he wants to risk it, can actually get a free offensive move in with the ticks and heal the next turn. Or he could pop an AO. Oh, the barrier
Hey, he's
point.
opting for the barrier. He wants to let that residual tick away onto Kurono without
See,
Kurono being able to attack back.
it's pretty perfect because he can also heal himself now. And I'm not sure if you paid attention, but his cooldown for his other CR should actually be coming out pretty soon. And it should have roughly the same cooldown as his custom. And he may be able to actually double stack them, and with full pulls, he should immolate for probably, honestly, all of Kurono's health. If he can get a double CR demo with the pulls, it'll hurt a lot.
With the ultimate at rank 6, he might be able to do it. It'd be a
Yeah,
little bit of stretch. That is a lot of damage to have to immolate,
it
especially
is.
because this isn't a cross-spec fight. Kurono is also a balanced user, so they both actually have pretty good defense against the other one's abilities.
Oh, they do, but it's because of how late into the game it's getting with the extra weakness. It's applying it on the ticks too, and I don't mean like if he just applies the CR now. I mean if he ends up timing it and uses his armory CR and then waits for the cooldown and uses his custom and then immolates. That may take down Chrono. It may not kill either, but it may get him low. And yeah, there's the heal that I expected. This
So both of them have
puts
healed up pretty close to full now. Kurono's those ticks have been eating away at Kurono's health. He's down 1,400 now. And
if I
Kurono's
if
just sitting and waiting in that barrier. That will help him conserve a little bit of pools.
it will, but there's this interesting thing. He DR'd on the for I believe first turn after the
Oh,
CR.
Kuzan's bringing out the offense boost. He's preparing for an offensive. With Kurono trapped
Oh,
in that barrier, Kuzan can break through it for full damage. Since it's his own barrier, his attack doesn't get reduced.
he
Oh,
is.
and Kurono's just standing still and waiting again.
Oh,
Kuzan can get a full boosted hit onto him now.
this is
And
gonna be a
Kurono's
CR.
already lower on health.
No, this is gonna be a boosted CR LSM.
Yeah, and
This
that's
is
going
gonna
to chain
take
into a really strong
bad.
immolate.
Yeah, it'll take really hard. Not to mention, he's also going to get at least. Look at that tick damage. He's going to take 600 in ticks this turn.
There we go.
Oh,
957 initial damage. When we saw this ability earlier, we was hitting like 700.
no, actually, it was 500 and
Oh, this was
400. The 700 was his custom one. This outdamaged his custom CR.
with the other tick already doing 340. This
Yeah,
could be strong enough for the Immolate to kill due to the fact that it's boosted and the high base damage of the Immolate ult. If Kurono is not able to stop this, he might die to an Immolate right here.
yeah, because I believe he still has a turn of boost. The Immolate itself will also get a boost right now.
Indeed, but it looks like he's going to heal up to full. That should prevent the one shot.
It will, but if he immolates, even if Kuzan decides to immolate right now, might do about half of Chrono's health and give Kuzan a. Oh,
It looks like he's going to stack
oh,
up the other CR onto
my.
it. 1280 initial damage from the CR. So he gets both of his CRs in boosted. The
He
ticks are now
did.
going to be heavy, and the Immolate is now going to be very strong with 2 boosted CRs.
I don't. Kurono better have a barrier, or he is
Oh, the ice
one,
AoE.
two.
This should
Oh,
stop it. Kuzan will only be able to move 2 squares, which is not enough to be able to get any direct attacks through.
I
He
wonder.
might be able to break through the ice due to the high base power of the Immolate. It would be close, though, because his offense boost is no longer on.
It is. It's a very risky play if he does.
Indeed.
But if it pays off, it may not 100% kill Kurono, but it will drop him very low. Even with the base power being low, through breaking the ice, the immolate itself will hurt very badly. Looks like Kuzan's very much thinking about his options here.
He's taking some decent damage from that ice, although Kuzan is still very healthy.
Kuzan
He's
can
still at
walk out of it if he
12k.
decides to as well.
He moves up. Is
Looks.
he going for the ult ammo? No, it looks like he's countering
Oh,
with the poison instead. And the poison is actually able to clear all the ice away in that one
this
row
this
and
is a
then get
pretty
a
good
full through
play.
there. Kurono will have his offense nerfed a little bit by that poison, and Kuzan can now move for his shield. But Kurono's able to move into his own ice. The residual is ticking heavily away, but he's fairly safe from attack now. And he's going to use the health leech again. That health leech is really supplementing Kurono's heal to keep him a little bit higher on health, even when his heal is on cooldown or he has heal reduction on himself.
Residual ticks though, LSM.
Oh, the Dissipate wipes away the rest of the ice for 874 damage. Kurono's health is ticking away from those residuals. The Immolate now might not do too much, but the base power of it may be enough, combined with even like a small 1,000 or 2,000 Immolate to kill Kurono.
It will be, because you have to remember, he actually has, even though it's a small one, he gets a slight residual tick from the Dissipate as well.
And this lightning is not going to be strong enough to stop that ultimate if Kuzan decides to use it here with both of those CRs on. Sure, he may have to break through one row of the lightning, but the ultimate Immolate can easily do that.
Oh, no,
We'll see if he decides to do that, though. If he does it and it doesn't kill Kurono, he would put himself vulnerable being stuck in that lightning. So it looks like instead he opts to move to the side and activate his dual resist.
It's not a bad play. It's not. He has a pretty big lead. Even if
he's opting for the safe calculated play instead of the go for broke play. But honestly, with Kurono down to 3,500 health, these guys are going to start running out of pools soon. So he might have, with him being so high on health, up to 9,000, I think he had a pretty safe margin to move on and go for that play if he wanted.
He did, but from what I've seen him do majority of the tournament, he's actually went with the very safe and calculated plays just about the entire tournament.
Dude, Kurono's moving away and using his own dual resist. He's getting low on health, though. He needs his heal to come back up sooner, or else he's going to be toast.
It should come back up, I believe, within a turn, but it's actually not going to heal him to full if you pay attention to the health he has left right now.
Well, that's true. He does also have a sword heal, which heals a little bit more. If he has no heal reduction, that sword heal... Yeah, we saw earlier he healed for 7,800. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if he had any innate heal reduction on at that time, but if we figured your normal sword heal does about 45%, plus the fact that you get more from levels, assuming he has it capped, it would do 63% of his health.
You're right. That definitely was a sword heal. This could go so many ways right now. Kuzan always goes to the safe and calculated play. Let's see if it works out this time. I do think Kuzan came more prepared for this first match, though.
Yeah, Kurono kept using his sword seal, but I'm not sure if that was the greatest option. While sword seal can be nice to interrupt combos, the problem with sword seal is it doesn't do all that much damage. And there's still plenty, usually, assuming you have a godly aura, which everybody in this tournament gets just from being in the tournament, you have 9 shop ability slots. There's plenty of options there if somebody sword seals you to do that. So it only really works if somebody is has something in their sword that they critically rely on, and you can mess them up at a key moment. I actually think it might be more effective in the situations such as if somebody's about to use a sword heal and you happen to sword seal them right before it.
If you it's also good against, I believe it was Dante or Rain both. I think ran sword setups where they had very, very, very high damaging moves on their sword with lower cooldown.
That's true. If they have a high damage recoil, or for rank 6, the ultimate pures also can hit very hard. So if they have one of those, then it's probably worth it to stop that. But
it is. But in
this fight, with it being more of an extended type of fight, I don't really think it's doing much help for Kurono.
It was okay at first because I know I think he wanted to prevent Kuzan from stacking CRs early for damage. But the one time I saw where he really messed up, in my opinion, is he used it when he was already in his ice that was protecting him. So he really didn't have a reason to use it there, because he couldn't hit him with any residual in that.
Looks like Kuzan uses the offense boost. Kurono uses the heal, but Kuzan just offense boosted.
Kuzan, I believe, both of his residuals are back on cooldown.
Kurono is only at 10,000. Oh my god, 1,200 damage from that. And he's still got another turn of boost to use.
I'm going to be honest, he could probably immolate and kill with that. I don't think he needs to use another CR.
That's very true. Since he has the residual core, he would get the multiplier from the immolate. The reflect comes out of Kurono, but honestly, that's not going to help too much. That might dissuade. Oh! 3,600 base damage and 9,600 immolate from the ultimate. Kuzan wipes Kurono out and takes round 1.
That was so much damage. Oh, so much damage.
We're going to give the contestants a couple Couple minutes here to split their equips.
Yeah,
Kurono's going to definitely need to make some adaptations there. I
he
think probably
does.
the Sword Seal isn't going to do him too many favors. Maybe he might keep it just to use it in the case that he has, two compound residuals on him and he wants to stop Kurono's Immolate Ultimate.
You
But in
see,
that case, I think Kurono was running the shop Immolate and he might as well, he can still use that. So I'm
he
not sure
can.
the Sword Seal is too worth it right here.
It's okay to keep, but if it comes down to the sword seal or the dissipate, he needs to pick the dissipate. The dissipate is going to be so much more important right now because you saw it gave Kuzan his momentum and many points in the fight. Actually, I believe Kuzan actually got rid of his own sword seal for the dissipate, as I didn't see Kuzan use it that fight. I may have missed it, but I didn't see him use it. Let's see. For finals, I believe they get 2 or 3. They get 2 or 3 minutes, right? In between each round.
We usually try to give them about 2 minutes.
So
Let me see here. Let me check on with the mod to make sure that we see exactly what time the next match is going to start.
and I will be here hosting the Rank 8 finals, and I'm actually pretty excited about that because I think Yamamoto versus Kazuya is going to be very fun too.
It's a very interesting match because Yamamoto pulled out the surprise victory against Yami. I
It's
don't think very many people at all saw that coming because Yami has like
exactly.
130 million XP over Yamamoto. It
It's
really goes to show how
interesting.
at rank 8, once you get your primary offensive stats, your melee skill, your strength, and you
Um,
get like enough sword skill so that you get the minimum possible cost in your resurrection or your Zanpakuto, the strategy really comes into play, and strategies can really counter each other.
all right, round 2, and it's Yamamoto's sword does specifically counter one-turn residuals. To put that out there, it does. One-turn residuals do actually get countered by ultimate leeches as well.
All right, here we go into round 2. Kuzan versus Kurono. Kuzan's got first turn this time. He's
Open
releasing the
release.
resurrection.
I've noticed a lot in honestly a lot of ranks that aren't rank 8, people don't always open with releasing. In rank 8, unless you're a spirit player, you almost always. Oh, you see, I don't think that was a good idea. He sword sealed him. Hmm.
Kuzan's moving up. Kuzan's using the offense boost. Kurono needs to be careful here with that offense boost. He should probably back off and use an AoE to stop Kuzan from being able to get any direct damage through it. We didn't see Kurono have any barriers last match, so I'm assuming he's relying on the AoE for that. Except, here comes the barrier. It looks like maybe he changed that for this round. So he's going to use the barrier to stop. However, Kuzan does have the dissipate. We already saw that. So he can clear through this barrier pretty easily if he wants with the offense boost. Also with the fact this is a 3-score. Oh, he uses his own barrier. And
Oh,
we've got the double barrier trap here.
this is so much more effective.
However, the
This
advantage of this situation for Kuzan is that in order to hit Kurono, he won't have any reduction in damage because he can clear out his own barrier. Whereas if Kurono wants to hit Kuzan, his attack has to face the resistance of Kuzan's barrier. Neither of them can move, but Kurono has to be a little bit careful there. There he goes
oh,
releasing the Zanpakuto though.
I was wondering if he would DR actually.
It looks
Um,
like Kuzan decides not to take the first hit. Instead, he's going to use the dual resistance.
I think that was a smarter play actually because I mean, why not? They're both setting their barrier traps. He might as well go ahead and give himself a nice little buff before he hits.
That's true, since Kurono can't hit through Kuzan's barrier without having to face the resistance. Kuzan,
He could.
Kuzan, yeah, Kurono can't hit through Kuzan's barrier without having to face the resistance of breaking through. Ah, here comes the
Ah,
ice AoE from Kuzan with the dual resist on himself, so he'll take a minimum of damage. Kurono can still attack. He might opt, if he's smart, he could opt for a compound residual here because that dual resist will only last one more turn on Kuzan. So the last, 3 turns or so of that compound residual would still do full damage. But it looks
it
like he's
would.
just opting to try to move out of this ice as fast as
Um,
possible.
I actually don't think Kurono has a compound. I haven't seen. I didn't count all their moves last fight. I'm not trying to reveal too much strategy by doing it anyway. But I didn't see him use a compound all last fight. Kurono fights really interestingly, but I don't know how he's gonna deal with Kuzan.
Kuzan's chaining AoE into AoE from the ice AoE into the poison. This is going to reduce Kurono's damage, making it incredibly hard for him to break either of these AoEs. He might be able to still break a row of the poison with whatever attack he wants, but it's certainly going to be very hard to crack that ice.
Yeah. Heroic Poison is difficult to break if double boosted. Without double boosted, it's not too difficult. But yeah, Ice is so strong in rank 6. Let's see. Oh, his own lightning.
So he's just opting to throw that out with the angle that should prevent Kuzan from getting any direct attacks through without having to break through the lightning. And then, unless he has a 5-width move, he might just have the
Oh,
angle to squeeze it around there.
do we
If
have
he
it?
has a 5-width move, that's the critical thing.
I don't.
Either way, Kurono should be able to move into his lightning next turn to use it as a shield.
He does have Yes, I was about to say he does have Dissipate, and that is exactly what he used. That I think it was a massive swing in momentum for Kuzan right now as well. Not only did he hit him for a full damage Dissipate, which is actually kind of strong, he cleared out all of the AoE that he could do.
Yeah, and due to the distance, oh, Kurono fires back with the ice AoE. But he's getting a little bit low on health, and he hasn't managed to do anything to Kuzan yet.
He hasn't. He can definitely hide in that though. There's not actually a sneak angle that I can find Kuzan to really be able to go through. Just
Yeah,
a whack.
that's true. He would have to have. I mean, if he has a 5-width move, but we saw he already used the Dissipate, and I don't think he has any other moves that are 5 wide. His ice is now gone. Kurono could try to move in there. The poison nerf should just about be off. He might be able to move in and get an attack through that.
That's why Kuzan's moving back. I believe he's trying to. Yeah,
Oh,
Kuzan.
here comes the offense boost from Kurono. And since Kuzan has burned both of his AoEs, they're going to be on cooldown. He should have one more, unless he's
Yeah.
changed it from the last match. He should still have, I think it was the lightning.
Yes, he does have a lightning. Kurono's gonna be able to hit him this time. Kurono has enough width
Just
to
got
hit him.
that range. Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. But the sword seal again, that does do 1700 damage due to the offense boost on Kurono.
It's not. It's not
Kuzan's
bad.
moving in due to the range. We'll see if he's going to use a barrier. His barrier should be on cooldown.
See,
Ah, there we go. Instead, he's opting for the shop compound residual.
now remember, we have one more turn of boosted on Kurono as well.
Indeed, so he's going to be able to get one more hard hit on Kuzan.
Oh,
Oh, 6,400 damage.
is
And
that
that's
an
not
ult?
even a recoil.
Is that an ult pure?
That could be.
That
That hits
could
hard. However, Kuzan is free to heal now. And from 4,000 health, he should be able to heal freely up to 11,000.
actually. I know this is something weird, but I think that actually puts momentum in Kuzan's favor. He can heal all of that up while the CR is still.
Yeah, when the damage from the ultimate is down, he's now free to use any defensive measures he wants while it takes away. Ah, here comes the barrier.
I wonder why he didn't trap Kurono this time. Because he could have. Kurono does not seem to be having a dissipate on him. He may just want more time. Pay attention to those ticks on Kurono. It's roughly 100 damage per tick, 200 per turn or so right now.
Yeah, it's still ticking away. Probably going to take Kurono down to about 8,000 health. Now, Kuzan did burn his heal now, so he is going to have that on cooldown for a while. But if Kurono's not able to actually press the advantage, it's not going to make that much of a difference. Due to the fact that he's balanced, Kuzan probably is running a second heal. So as long as he waits about 4 turns or so for the heal reduction to wear off, he'll be able to heal at full effect.
Yeah,
And it looks like he's just going to burn the other one right now. He does get the full effect of it. That does put both his heals on a cooldown, though. Or wait, no, that's just that one. But yeah, with that, Kurono, it doesn't look like he's pressing the advantage. He's just moving back. Due to the barrier being there, Kuzan can attack freely through his barrier without any mitigation. So if Kurono stayed there, he would just be subject to taking the first hit from Kuzan. He's opting to move back and away and deny Kuzan that zone of control.
I think he's just waiting for the residual to tick out. And then
He may be trying to heal off that too. If he still has the health leech from last battle in this one, he might opt to use that.
Honestly, that CR ticked more than both of us, I believe, thought. We thought maybe 8,000. It's dropped into roughly 7,500, actually. Actually, no, it's going to go lower. Yeah, and it's
He's popping the first heal now. This does give him a slight health advantage over Kuzan. With the ticks happening, the residual should be wearing off soon, so it'll still probably leave him maybe a few hundred health over Kuzan. With Kuzan standing still and waiting, Kurono might have an option here. He might be able to move in. It looks like he doesn't feel like he has the range. He just wants to use the dual resist.
I wonder if they'll trade DRs again. I have a feeling it might. Or we may get the World of Rocks very soon. Nope. Looks like I think trade DR. Or is he gonna boost? Not traded DR. Kurono might go in for the sword still again.
Okay, Kurono's moving just enough in range. There it is, the sword seal again. 640 damage. Dual resistance cutting that down
He
quite
does
a
have a
lot.
nice health lead.
Yeah, he's got about 1600 here. Kuzan will be able to get a free attack, although Kurono has the dual resist on, so Kuzan may opt for the CR again if it's off cooldown.
He could go for his yeah, the first CR.
There it is, the CR again. We've seen those be able to tick. The initial damage does 330, however, it is important to note that after 1 or 2 turns, when Kurono's dual resist wears off, the ticks are going to increase. So the
Yeah,
damage, the residual damage, is not permanently lowered just by having a dual resist active when the
it is.
ability hits.
It is why many people like to use at least one residual on their sword because it can very much so deal with first turn DR, the DR move. It's why DR move in rank 8 it's not being used very much right now either.
Well, it's
It is
partially that. One of the major factors in terms of that is the penetration, which really isn't a factor here at rank 6,
yeah,
because as we were mentioning earlier in the rank 5 match, at rank 5 or 6, the max amount of penetration you can get on your sword is about 11%. So you'd
it's
have
not.
to use the only way to actually get a significant amount of penetration at these low ranks that don't have Bankai or Segunda Etapa is to have a penetration ability on your sword, because there's no shot penetration abilities. So you
Yeah,
would have to have that penetration ability on your sword in order to use it. And most of these guys just it's not that valuable for them
it's
because there's
not.
so many
Kuzan's
other options they
nice.
can use. All right, looks like Kuzan's trading out the Ice AoE while Kurono uses Lightning. They're both moving in now. Those ticks are still happening on Kurono. You can see that residual is doing the damage now that his dual resist is worn off.
Kuzan is actually gaining health lead because of that CR.
Just a little bit. He's still got to do about 300 more damage. Oh, the
Poison,
poison completely wipes out Kurono's AoE.
except for one little. Think about that one tile of lightning. I don't know if it's really gonna
Yeah,
block
it's
him.
not going to have that much strength left.
Yeah,
So he could try to, yeah, it looks like Kurono knows it. He's not even trying to move into that. He moves to the side. He's going to try to dissipate. Oh, the barrier.
you
That's
have to.
actually a pretty smart move there. This way,
No,
Kuzan is not able to really use that AoE towards his advantage. However, he's just going to use the offense boost. If Kurono plays this right, though, due to the way that barrier is set up, if he moves down, he should be able to keep Kuzan from getting in on him for those 2 turns of offense boost.
he moves away because remember Kuzan has a Kuzan has a dissipate. He can and I actually thought he was going to
Yeah, it's
dissipate.
true. With the offense boost, he could try to do that.
He can
Oh,
actually go for
Kurono's
this
opting to
ice
use
out.
his own Ice AoE. This will give him a nice shield that he could use. However,
Mm,
oh, the
yeah,
Dissipate is strong. Now, with
good
the
play.
Dissipate, that's being the max range, so all of the ice left there is still full strength.
Yeah, it is.
And with the Dissipate down, Kurono can now reliably use that for tankiness.
He can, but remember there's still one turn of boost left for him as well. So
That's
if he
true.
has,
Although the Ice AoE should mostly negate the effects of the extra damage that Kuzan received from that boost if he tries to hit through the ice. And even when boosted, he's not going to be able to use any kind of CRs or anything through it.
yeah,
Also, the CR ticks have worn off of Kurono. He is getting a bit low on health, both from the compound residual before
but
and
he
from the
might need a
poison
lead.
AoE that he got hit with before. So last turn, so 8,700 health for Kurono. It's about 1,500 behind Kuzan,
Kuzan might
1,600.
ice.
Kuzan's moving
Oh,
away.
yeah,
And here comes the dual resist. The constant dual resist out of these guys. They're both
yeah.
balanced. They both have that option. They both keep using them.
They
They
both
don't want
keep
to take
trading
those
it.
hard hits from each other.
Yeah, they keep trading doors this. And I see that is just I don't think
I
that
think
was
he's overusing the sword seal. Like, there's a place for it, but it's not the kind of
yeah.
ability that you want to chain repeatedly over and over, especially not when you're in the ice, because there's no residual damage on Kurono. There's no way Kuzan is going to use his sword to immolate.
Yeah. See
There's
the
no
thing
way
about
Kuzan's going to use his sword compound residual through the ice AoE, even when boosted. So I don't know if that's the right play there from Kurono. It doesn't seem like very optimal.
see the thing about it against you can say that the seal is a offensive and defensive move, but against Kuzan it is really just purely defensive because he has nothing that you can take away from him
Right, if
as
he's not running a sword heal, and even if he was running a sword heal, you still wouldn't use it in that situation right there because he only had 96.
no.
Oh, Kurono's charging it for the offense. We'll see what he's got. 3,000 damage from the pure.
That is a lot, but he also just and if he I wonder if he has the HR. I wonder if he has
546 damage from the compound residual. If Kurono doesn't have HR, this may not go very well for him because if in two more moves, Kuzan can win this. In two more moves, if he gets one more
He could.
compound residual and his Immolate ultimate, Kurono is dead. Like we saw that do 9,600 damage. Sure, in
Yeah.
that last match they were a bit lower on pools, but Kurono's only at 8,200 health. If he takes two
Yeah.
full CRs like that,
Actually, I have to remember, it was only one CR he used to do that last match. It
yeah,
was
that's
just
true.
one boosted CR. He can hit him with another CR from that tile. He can move 3 and hit him with.
This is pretty dangerous for Corona. He may need a Barnet heal here pretty soon because Kuzan
Actually,
should
it
still
won't
be able to
work
get
yet.
with the 3 squares of movement. He can get in that. There we go. Does he have a 5 with move? He may dissipate here. It looks like he's moving in a position to dissipate, which
He is.
would prevent Corona from being able to move into it. Oh, he uses a barrier instead, but
Oh,
that doesn't
oh, he
actually
didn't go for
prevent
the.
it.
I wonder why he didn't go for the trap here. He could have trapped.
Kuzan might be trying to play defensive while his compound residuals just tick away and tick away.
He could, but you see, if he placed Kurono in the middle of that and trapped him, he could have boosted, hit him with his sword CR, and immolated, and
Yeah,
probably
it's
won
very,
it.
very true.
That's why I don't get that one. I mean, it's not necessarily bad. It's just I don't think it was the optimal play. Maybe he just wanted to get the heal off. Maybe he was just
Kuzan's
scared.
buying this time to heal. He was lower. He was about 5,600 health after that, so maybe he didn't want to take the chance on that 6,000 damage pure ultimate we saw from Corona earlier.
He did just use it though. Remember? He just used it roughly 3 turns ago.
Was that the ultimate? Because it only did 3,000 damage.
I know, but it was the same text. It was the same
Oh, really?
golden blade and pivot. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, either way, Kuzan decides to play it safe. Corona does the same. They're both back to full health now. However, this is far from the battle being square one. Even though they're both full health, both of them have abilities on cooldowns. Their pools are lower. When the pools get lower, the damage gets higher. So,
Does. Actually, it makes me wonder if that's really an ultimate because I remember when it did 6,000, it was boosted, and that's kind of low for a boosted achievement.
true. It could be just normal sword pure.
It could, but I actually I don't know Chrono Sword. I know for a fact what Kuzan Sword is. I
This
don't know.
is this is round two of the best of 5 here. So depending on who wins this, we'll have at least 3 matches. If Corona can take a match back, we'll go to 4. If he can take 2, we'll go to round 5.
Yeah. Very defensive
Depending
plays
on
on
who.
them.
Indeed, Corona's moving back using the rocks for cover, which will just prevent Kuzan from getting any direct attacks. The barrier should be wearing off on the next turn.
Yeah.
Or 2.
I wonder if Kuzan is gonna, having a movement boost would be really interesting in one of these fights at this point, with the positions they're at.
There's a lot of adaptations these guys could potentially make.
Uh, but I'll put this as someone who fought the tournament. It can be really weird, adapting mid fight because you kind of, when you adapt, you kind of have to think about what they may adapt to as well.
Yeah, that's very true.
It can be a little awkward just adapting because
Corona with the interesting play here. He moves diagonally through that little gap in the rocks.
but
And
he
now he's got
boosted.
himself a nice cover.
He boosted if you noticed. He used I think that was a melee boost.
It could be, and Kuzan just stands still and waits. This makes
Kuzan,
him
you gotta go.
vulnerable. But it's the sword seal again from Corona.
That one wasn't That one wasn't placed badly this time.
Yeah, this time since he has no AoE for cover, this will stop Kuzan from being able to chain off his sword CR. However, he's just got the ice there. Well, the problem is since there's 3 squares of movement here, Corona should still be able to move out of this, and he can get one more boosted hit on the Kuzan. The question is here, we haven't seen a whole lot of damage from Kurono apart from the occasional 6k hit. Is he going to be able to out damage Kuzan's heals? That's the question we have to ask here because his damage apart from the very occasional high hit out of what appears to be maybe a sword pure or an ultimate. Oh, 4,200 damage. That's the rank 6 pure ability. That takes Kuzan down to 7,200 health. Kuzan moves right in there. We'll see what he's able to do.
Well, he answered our question, LSM. I've been wondering myself because I've noticed I don't see any high damage output of Chrono's build until that hits.
Oh, Kuzan forgot about the sword seal. It got him. I'm not sure how he forgot about that. Maybe he was lulled into safety by Kurono having used it so many times these last 2 fights. But he misses it and he does nothing, which gives Kurono a completely free turn.
If that is the move I think it is, that very much so. It isn't just a free turn.
That's true. It also puts it on cooldown.
Yes, it does. If that's the move I think it is, I'm pretty sure that was his his CR. It may have been his poison, but I think that was a CR, and I think that is
If it was
quite
this,
a big loss.
if it was the CR, it's not the worst ability in the world because the sword CRs are only on a 4-turn cooldown. So
They
he'll be
are,
able to
but
have it up before too long, especially with this barrier here that Kurono's using. Kurono really needs to find an opportunity to press the offense here because he's managing to get a couple blows on a Kuzan, but I don't think he's ever really put Kuzan in serious danger of dying.
not really. If you want the complete truth, Kuzan already could have won this fight at one point. He had a very good opportunity to, but he went for the defensive play. So, and he
Yeah,
really
we
needs
did
to.
we did see the option earlier where he could have tried to use his ultimate through the lightning, and even if he didn't kill him there, he would have made Kurono so low that he could have probably continued to press that advance.
There was also a point where he could have barrier trapped, but didn't. He could have barrier trap boost. Yeah, he's had opportunities.
Both of them are definitely making some misplays here. We've seen this a lot in the lower rank fights. I guess they don't quite the fights aren't quite as intense. There's not as many people as the R8, so their strategies don't get quite as finely honed.
Yeah, it can happen. It's hard to practice when you don't have many people that really challenge you all the time. A majority of their challenges were people they were fighting in the tournament anyway, so it had to be hard to get themselves fully prepared for it.
Yeah, that is indeed true. Kuzan standing still and waiting. He is conserving some pools by doing so. This does mean that Kurono, if he decides to, can get a free hit because that's his barrier. So he's free to move up and attack through that for full power.
Has to have 5 range on it though. I think his pure has it though.
We've seen him attack from that range before though, so he should be able to get it.
It's usually with his sword seal though. I'm wondering if his pure has it as well.
I guess he's not opting to.
No? I think he could have though. Honestly, I think he
Yeah,
could have.
either that or I believe some of his AoEs probably would have had enough range to get through that.
It would have.
Because with this rank, if they have 3 squares of movement and balance, assuming they're capped, which these two both are, so he
Yeah.
should have an extra, what is it, 2 or 3 squares of range.
Um, 2
Yeah,
because if they have 3 movement squares, that's +2. So yeah, it's +2 range as well. Um,
indeed. So with the AoEs of this rank usually having about three range, because that's the minimum for Spirit, he should have definitely been able to get an AoE through that. But it looks like instead he's opting to back off and go for the dual resist. I'm not sure about that play.
I'm like,
He
I
will
kind of.
conserve his health by doing so, but again, if he's not attacking, he's just letting Kuzan's heal come back off cooldown, and he's never going to win this fight if he doesn't make the offensive plays to actually take Kuzan to
Yeah.
0, which he
It's not.
hasn't been doing. He landed that one hard hit, but now he's just backing off.
Yeah,
He's just
no,
playing defensive.
it's not really a bad fight per se. It's but Kurono, it's like he's trying not to lose, but he's also not trying to win.
Maybe the pressure of the tournament is getting to him and losing that first round. But I
Yeah,
think it would be Kurono needs to be a lot smarter about when he uses his sword seal and pick and choose his moments. He shouldn't be using that when he's in his own AoE.
he can hit
Except for
something.
except for the one instance earlier where Kuzan would have been able to get the immolate ultimate through it. Unless it's something like that. He needs to not do it. But it seems like he's just using the sword seal on cooldown.
He is. I just
Every
don't.
time it comes up, he just uses it. Oh, here comes a barrier
Um,
trap from Kuzan. Judging by earlier, I'm guessing Kuzan is probably going to use this, take this opportunity to heal.
remember, there is this one thing he can do though. That barrier is weakened. It had to go through ice. That is a weakened barrier. Kurono may very well be able to break the barrier.
Indeed, Kuzan takes this opportunity to heal.
If Kurono doesn't break the barrier, Kuzan can go for a double CR Emulate and possibly in the game.
I mean, that's potentially true. However, Kuzan hasn't. He should have either his. Oh, we haven't seen his leech this turn, but
Um, he
he tried
didn't
to
break
use his
the
pure to
barrier.
break through the barrier, but it's just not doing it.
I
The
think
barrier
that
is very hard to break unless you have a dissipate.
it is. I honestly think Kurono needs to slot in Dissipate to get some momentum. Kuzan may win the game. Oh,
With
he
Kuzan
outed.
having like 4 AoEs, yeah, this does give. Oh no, there's not quite any space for him to move out with the 3 movement squares.
And look at the
Just
tick on that
barely not
ice.
enough.
Look at the damage tick on that ice.
Yeah, 400 damage on that initial tick, which means it'll do 427. That's 840 per turn.
And he has to take it for, let's see, this turn, on Kuzan's turn, and half a tick on his next turn as well. Unless Kuzan hits it. Kuzan could boost, but if he boosts, Kurono can go with trapping him as well. Oh, he tried to AoE.
The lightning, but it's not enough to break through the ice. The lightning does not have the power. This gives Kuzan the free hit on the Kurono, who's starting to get low on health, 9,700. They may not seem that low, but when we've seen these big combos able to come out, 800 damage from that CR, and we can see even more from the next one. Kurono can move into his lightning now. That row on the side there, I believe, should have full power.
It should. I believe that one does. I believe it does.
Because it was just outside of the ice. Ah, here comes the heal. So he's healing up to full, but the residual
Actually,
is still ticking away on him because he just got hit with that.
let's
So
say
that
here's the
should take him down at least to 8 or 9,000.
that's the interesting. He healed, and that is good. But he also healed on literally the first turn after a CR was placed on him.
Right, he could have maybe waited out because he wasn't in danger of immediately dying there. So he could have waited out for more of that damage to happen and not maybe
Yeah.
waste some of that heal because he was at like, 9,000 health.
You have to
So the
remember he was
heal
in
only
fight.
actually did maybe like 3,500 there. And here comes the poison from Kuzan, 689 damage on the initial tick. The
And remember,
ticks are
lightning
pretty
rod.
real here.
Yeah.
He does have the option. He should be able to move just outside of that poison if he wants. Since his health isn't that low, the residual CR will take a long time to do its damage. So he does have the opportunity to try to mount some sort of offense on the Kuzan,
He
which
does.
he needs to go for. He hasn't been going for it these fights, and he's just moving out to the side.
I think he may barrier. The way he's positioned, he might barrier.
He
Yeah,
does
there.
indeed. That doesn't really stop him though, because Kuzan will be able to move. You
Oh,
see, he can move diagonally out of that barrier and down. There we go, just like that. And now
see,
he's free to land another attack on a Kurono. He could
yeah,
chain a second CR, maybe an ultimate into him. We saw that do a lot of damage earlier. There we go. There's a shop
there.
CR, 700 damage.
See,
Those are
here's
gonna
my
tick
question.
away, and Kurono just burned his heal.
I kind of wonder if he's choking up a little bit because of the pressure. Because both of them have actually missed opportunities to just bury a trap, and they're going for blocking
We
instead.
have indeed seen that. It is a thing in the system where one of the tricky things about this battle system is you have to decide where you move before you use your ability. However, you have to decide where you move based on what ability you want to use.
Very
So
much so.
if you,
Yeah.
it's actually pretty easy to slip up and move to the wrong location. You have to
It
plan it
is.
out before you do it.
Now here's that's interesting. I wonder. I bet he's going to boost, and then he's going to do a boosted dissipate through that ice. Or
Like
Kuzan could even boost and possibly try to break one tile of ice with his ultimate and possible kill.
that could be an option. Kuzan's backed up. He's keeping that distance. So his residuals are ticking away strongly into Kuzan.
Ooh,
300
you
from
see
one,
that
130 from
300?
the other. It's double that actually because that's the half tick.
Yeah, he's taking. Let's see, almost 1,000 damage per turn onto Kurono. Actually, yeah, quite a bit
Yeah,
of
it is
damage.
indeed. It's about with them continuously ticking up, it's actually hitting that about 640 from one. We got about 280 from the other, so it's about 900 right now.
Yeah.
Within one or two more turns, it will increase to a full thousand.
Yes, it will. And I believe one of them has one or two more turns left, and the other one has about three left. Actually, the 143 has about three turns left on it.
Yeah, indeed, he just used it. The second heal from Corona comes out. It looks like this was his sword heal, which should have done 7,800 health, except due to the heal reduction from having just used his heal earlier, it's only 6,500. This also puts both his heals on cooldown.
Mm.
While they are full health, so if he can stall out the battle or keep enough time for his other one to come up, it won't
I
really be a huge issue. However, with those residuals ticking away, we'll
I
see.
I think Kurono should have waited one more turn to heal, because he was in
Yeah,
no
you're
immediate
not
threat.
in danger of dying here, so you want to wait for two things. You want to wait for the residual ticks to happen so that their damage potential is expended, and you also want to wait for the innate heal reduction to run out.
Yeah, he could have. I think he roughly lost himself almost 1,000 HP by healing there. Oh my
Indeed, and he's just
god,
gonna
that
stand
tick.
still and wait. We see the full double tick there, 630 from one, 270 from the other. And Corona is sealing his Zombok though. Is he getting low on pools? It's quite possible. Kuzan might ought to do the same thing here.
This has been a very, very long fight. I believe this one's pushing 20 minutes. This has been a longer one. Kuzan is either gonna seal, boost, or dissipate. I'm fairly sure. That ice isn't gonna last too much longer. Don't forget that. I think the ice has maybe one more turn left on it. It's not very long.
It's true. And with the range that Kuzan is in, he'll be able to move in and get the attack on that.
Yeah, well, Kuzan could very easily boost right now. Because
It
they're
looks like he's
waiting.
just slightly moving down. See what the next option he wants to do is.
He's waiting until nearly the last tick per turn, so I'm fairly sure they're both so low in pulls they're having a hard time keeping those swords up. Oh, there it is. There's the boost. And I believe, I don't know if I counted it right, but I think that ice may end, if not this turn, the turn after. Yep, this, ooh, 1400. See, that was a good play. That was very, very good sword steal right there. Because now he cannot be hit with the sword,
That's very true. The
yeah,
immolate, the CR, they
CR.
both can't come out.
Yeah.
Oh, Kuzan tried to use the immolate. It did good damage,
See,
but there's no residual to actually get an immolate from. So only the
Kuzan's playing.
3,500 damage on the Kurono. Well, that isn't bad either.
Kuzan.
Oh, the heal reduction finally comes out of Kurono. I'm a bit surprised he didn't find an opportunity to use that earlier. Any one
Yeah,
of the many times he used Sword Seal would have been a great opportunity to get that heal reduction out.
1000 damage CR
That
on that.
CR is going to hurt. Kurono's at 5,400
See,
damage, and I believe both his heals are still on cooldown.
you see, I will say this. Oh wait, no, that's why Kuzan did that. I was wondering why he didn't just go for the boosted CR into Immolate. He did that on purpose. He used his armory one as a pure, so to wait for the cooldown on the sword seal, and now he's going to use his ultimate to kill.
Oh, indeed. There
That's
it goes.
why.
3,000 damage from that.
Yes.
Kurono didn't have enough heal to deal with that, and 5,500 immolate top with that brings
Yeah.
the second round to Kuzan's favor. That's
So
2 rounds down. Kuzan only has to win one more round, and he will take the entire match and the tournament.
indeed, he is, and that's why I said yes. He actually used his boosted shop Immolate as a pure, which was a pretty interesting play, I think.
Yeah, he just relied on the base damage of it.
I think it was a very intelligent idea. He knew the pure with its base would be enough to actually, yeah, it was a good move on his part. Did not see that one coming, to be honest.
So we've seen Kuzan win both these matches. Will Kurono be able to adapt and come back in round 3? We've
Um,
seen some flashes of promise from Kurono. We've seen some occasional good damage. We've seen the potential of his ult pure, and he brought out the heal reduction. But honestly, I don't know why he waited until the end of that battle. We didn't see that heal reduction in any of the like 50 turns
no,
up until that very end. So he'll
yeah,
have to play smarter. He'll have to use that heal reduction. If he can play that heal reduction and time it right before Kuzan heals, and then press the advantage, he could definitely go on. And then also, if he adds in a dissipate, if he manages to make those dissipate and that heal reduction get to work, we've seen he has the damage. He might be able to do something to Kuzan, but right now he's just not cutting it. He's playing way too defensive.
he is. I actually very much so think the way the fights are going, Kurono can actually very easily pull a win, especially if he just changes his style up just a little bit, because he's playing I see his style, but he's not changing what he's doing. Kurono's playing roughly the same as he did the first and second round.
Indeed, he is. He's staying on that defensive style. He doesn't want to lose. He keeps chaining sword seal after sword seal after sword seal, both in the situations where it's good and in the situations where it's not so good. The move only does 1,000 damage. It's not enough to keep up with the pace of Kuzan's healing. So he needs to swap out some of those times he uses sword seal and use a heal reduction instead, such as when he's like in his AOE and there's no real threat coming from Kuzan. There's no CRs on Kurono for Kuzan to immolate.
Yeah.
And in all those types of situations, Kurono needs to use his heal reduction instead of a sword. So here we go, round 3. This could be the deciding round. If Kuzan manages to win this, he'll take it. Or Kurono may be able to come back and take this to a round 4. We'll
I
see
very
if
much
he's
so.
able to take the round back and come back in this match.
Kuzan got first turn again.
The RNG seems to be heavily favoring one person, as we saw in the Cole versus Rick fight earlier.
Yeah,
And Cole
yeah.
managed to get first on all 3. However,
Even
with these fights being so long, first turn doesn't end up being the biggest advantage it can be. It
mm,
definitely helps once you're like 20, 30 turns deep in the fight. It's not as important as what you've done during the rest of the fight.
first turn advantage is only truly super relevant within the first probably 20 turns or so.
Yeah, maybe even the first like 10 to 15 turns. If you haven't managed to really make too much out of it by then, it'll pretty much come out
Sword still
roughly
again,
even.
by the way. Again, I just don't. He didn't have to open with that.
Yeah,
I think he should have
when
opened.
he uses that sword, so Kuzan is just able to get that compound residual on him.
I
And
think I
Kuzan
think
just doesn't care. He just throws the shop residual. He throws a shop AOE out, and then
yeah.
the sword seal is just gone.
To be honest, the rank 8 one being 3 turns is actually really deadly in my opinion. The 3 turn one is actually kind of harder. It's possible to do with still, but it has a lot more kick in being
The
3.
3 turn, what I actually end up, what we've seen a lot from the rank 8 sword sale is 3 turns actually makes a lot of people forget that it's on the third turn
It
because it's
does.
trickier to remember the exact count, and so you'll throw out a move and get tricked by it a little
Yeah.
bit more, and you got to be very careful to count it.
hmm This is gonna. Hmm.
So they're trading. Kurono brings out the ice, but then Kuzan just trades back the dissipate, leaving only one row of the ice. That still will help Kurono. He'll be able to move into that and get one hit off onto Kuzan without too much threat of retribution.
I don't think that was a good dissipation. What my actual opinion on that one. It didn't even hit him, and it could have if he timed it right. And he might actually need it later, as well as Kurono can actually still hide in those 3 tiles, just as if every other tile was there.
Yeah, and here comes the lightning, so there's just zero chance of any real retribution coming out from Kuzan this turn. He'll take a bit
Yeah.
of damage from that lightning, guessing he's probably going to back off, maybe use a barrier,
Probably
or
his
maybe his
poison.
own AoE to try to punch through it. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. There's the poison punching through it.
You have to remember his poison's a sword, so it is superior to most other AoEs, especially like a lightning, because poison's generally not tankier than lightning is anyway.
Yeah, that's true. They both technically have the same strength. What it depends on is their base power, which does get
Yeah.
reduced by effect. So if he has a low effect poison, the strength on it will actually be very high. Kurono just opts to take this chance to move back and release his sword. So it's interesting at rank 6 we're seeing, since Kuzan is getting the first turn, Kurono is dealing with that by not releasing his sword and giving Kuzan the first attack. Instead, he's using other types of defensive moves to keep Kuzan from being able to start his offensive chain too well,
Yeah.
which is
It has
actually a fairly good strategy. At this rank, it kind of works because the boost you get from your sword is only about 10% offense, 10% defense, roughly. Maybe 20% offense if you have 2 offensive boosts, but it's nothing like rank 8 where when you add up, someone who has maybe melee boost and melee penetration, not only did they get 50% more damage, they cut through half your defenses, and that's just too much of a challenge to stay sealed against on your first turn.
actually roughly more than half. It's 55, and if you have an item, it's 60.
Yeah, that's very true. However, the one flip side to that you have to consider is while you're punching through 55% of their resistances, the top half of their resistances are less valuable than the bottom half due to diminishing returns on dual resist.
That is true.
So they're, them keeping their, bottom maybe 40% of resistance is actually more valuable than your 41 to 80%.
Yeah,
All right,
it is.
Kuzan's moving in. Here comes the offense boost from him. He looks like he's just out of range to actually be able to hit Kurono with anything. Kurono could opt to move in and hit him here. However, that
I
would
wouldn't.
mean Kurono would take the boosted hit next turn. They're both at
That's a
even health, so
plus.
that's not really a concern.
You have to remember, it would be a boosted CR. That is not something you want to take.
Yeah, if he takes that, it would be. He has to have a plan there, and it looks like he's just going to move back. Try to keep that from happening. There should be just about enough range if we look. No, Kuzan could move 3 squares in, and then it would only take 1, 2. Yeah, he would have enough power to do
Is
it.
that an armory move or a sword move Kurono just used?
That looks like a range boost.
Yes, it
It
is.
is
Yes, it
indeed.
is.
It's a shop range boost. So he's actually going to try to keep his distance. It looks like this is Kurono's adaptation. He's going to bring out the range boost while they're both keeping their distance. Does Kuzan have the range here? Oh, he doesn't have the range. And Kurono can now hit with the range boost from outside of Kuzan's range. What is he
That's
going to opt to do? There's still one more turn of Kuzan's offense boost left. However, if Kurono gets the free hit on the chain, oh, he's moving in for some reason. So
I
with the, oh, I guess he moved in for the dual resist, and he uses the sword seal on a Kuzan for 1,000 damage. Uh,
Kuzan can use his armory CR right now.
yeah, again, he just changed that. Every time Kurono uses that shop sword seal, Kuzan just charges in and uses that shop CR again.
Oh, I
And
have
this one
found.
is boosted too, so 750 initial damage. Kurono's now moving in. See, this is a very interesting thing from Kurono. He used the range boost, but he's not using it. He's moving into close range
There's
now.
the ult. There's his ultimate. Yeah.
4,100 damage, that's strong, but that's not strong enough to take
No.
down Kuzan. However, that does force Kuzan to play on the back foot. He can't go too hard for his immolate combo now, or else he does risk dying. He could play it if he was going risky, but we've seen that hasn't been Kuzan's style. He's made the safe play. So the barrier trap comes out here. He's just going to let those residual ticks do their work. That is a boosted CR, so it will do some serious damage here.
Um,
Maybe take
I've,
Kurono down to 7,000, 6,000 health.
yeah, it's.
The
Oh,
Dissipate, Kurono
he
has
is
learned from his
perfect.
past two fights. He brings out the Dissipate. Kuzan's moving back. We'll probably see the AoE here out from him.
Interesting, by the way. I have figured out the sword that Kurono has, and I think I understand a bit more on why he's doing some of what he's doing. He has a greater, which actually makes me curious on why Kurono isn't staying released more, because his cost should be lower than Kuzan's, as well as he has an extra boost on his two moves, because he's only a greater, or on his two
Okay, so
abilities.
Kuzan opted to use the heal there. However, with this, Kurono is able to use the Ice AoE. This should just about prevent from Kuzan from being able to punch through it. Although we did see his Poison AoE was able to break the
He can
Ice
dissipate.
earlier.
He can dissipate.
That's the
Yeah,
other option. He does it. Oh, there's still two squares.
yeah.
Does Kurono? He could move into that back square there. He doesn't quite have enough to move into that other one, but he should be able to move into that one ice square there
The
and
one
be
on
able
the
to use that, which he
no
does
that
indeed. He's still taking the residual damage. Between the residual and the dissipate, he's down to 6,000, so he's getting a little bit low here. It's a little
but
bit dangerous.
now, Ellison, did you notice that one tile he's on had to eat one block of barrier though?
Hmm.
Look where the barrier is.
But did it? I believe he dissipated through that. No, that
Did he?
that three range you see right
You're
there
right. You're
was where he
right.
dissipated earlier, so there was no barrier tile
Yeah.
there. And here
Ooh.
comes the offense boost from Kuzan. He's ready to punch through that AoE. Corona used the second heal, so he's up to full health. He'll still have about one more turn on that ice at least, but he's just moving back from it. He doesn't want any of it. And he's going to use his
Yes.
lightning right on the spot where it'll prevent Kuzan from mounting a direct offensive without hitting through it.
Oh, I have a bit of a. I kind of want to talk to both of them about this. Neither one of them, and it could help both of them greatly, run a weakness. Oh, that poison ate.
Oh, the poison
It's a
destroyed
boosted
the
one too.
lightning. That's true. That's very true. And it's the sword. We've seen that poison of Kuzan's be really good at destroying other people's AoEs.
With that dual boost, that poison is honestly almost as strong as just having a Segunda atop a poison ability at this point. That is
Yeah, that's
quite a
kind of
boost
true.
from it.
The only difference is if you had the poison on your sword in Segunda Etapa, you'd get an additional power boost
Hmm.
strictly from being in the second release, apart
Yeah,
from the extra offense boost you get from it. But it's very strong down here at rank
yeah.
6.
Yes, it is so bulky.
Kuzan moves in. He uses the dual resist. He knows that poison isn't going to last forever. Kurono's keeping his distance. They're both right about 12,000 health. Kuzan's slightly lower, 11,300. Kurono's just going to keep his distance. They both barred their heal, so there's that. If Kurono still has his heal reduction, he really should be looking for an opportunity to use that. Because
Very
using the
soon.
heal reduction in a sustained fight like this. Oh, the range boost comes out again. We'll see if he can actually make use of it this time. Last time he used it, he then just moved in and effectively gained no bonus from it.
Yeah,
We'll see if he's
it,
actually able to keep his range this time and make some sort of advantage out of it.
you might be able to. Honestly, there's a good chance he could
If he
easily.
has another AoE off cooldown, like if he has his lightning off cooldown, this would be a really good opportunity to use it.
You know, I forget it. Rank 6, do they have the with booth available to them yet?
No, I believe that's up at rank 8.
No, the rank 8 is not. There is no rank 8 with booth. It could be 7, but it's not 8.
Oh, I'll check on that real quick.
Yeah, a little curious now. Oh, it is.
Oh, my bad. I was thinking of the width nerf. There actually is no shop width boost.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. There's a nerf. You're right, and that's double vortex, I think. Yeah, double vortex strike.
Yeah, the width nerf there is a rank
Hmm.
8, so they don't have access to that here either. Corona's
Actually,
staying behind his rock. He keeps using these abilities, and I don't know if... Okay, now this is his chance. He may be able to get some level of advantage here. With the distance they've still got, Kurono can move to a distance that's outside of Kuzan's range and use the last turn of his range boost to get an attack off.
I think he should actually use his
But he
heal
just moves
reduction.
in. He's continually getting no benefit out of his range boost. He uses the sword seal. The sword seal is fine, but he should have tried to move to a range, maybe outside of what Kuzan could hit.
You know, he actually could have used his sword or not sword. He could use his heal reduction right there, and then he could have
That's very
opened up
true.
after the heal reduction for his rank 6 pure, and then he also has his ulti to
Yeah, his ulti would have come
deflect.
off there in a couple turns. The Kuzan fires back with the Ice AoE. Corona moves out on the flank. He's taking a couple damage from those ticks. He does still have a health lead on Kuzan. And the 2200 damage. It looks like that's probably the Spirit Pure.
I think so. Here's a big question for both of them. Neither one of them used the rank 6 weakness move, and I think it would actually complement both of their setups a lot. Because the rank 6 weakness in general can be a very nice counter to DR if you've already applied a residual.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Let's see what we've got here.
Or
So, Kuzan is just going to head and use the offense boost. He's still a bit low on health, but that does make the combo dangerous to Kurono. With the offense boost, if Kuzan gets 2 CRs into an immolate without it being stopped, he will kill Kurono from full health with that combo.
if you want the truth with boosted at this pulls, I actually believe he could use his custom CR and custom ultimate as long as they're both boosted. It would
That's very
probably
true.
kill.
If he gets the offense boost with both of those, he could use it.
Yeah, because of his residual core, he would still get the extra effect, and it
Kurono
would.
counters those. I say a we. Kuzan, is he going to go for the dissipate here? It looks like that's
Oh,
what he's in position for. And there it is indeed. However, this does still leave that top row. Kurono can use that freely. And he'll still be in range to try to hit through. He does have to hit through Kuzan's ice, but he would have to do that anyway. So he may as well move into that ice and use it for a shield.
Kurono's ice will last about a turn longer than Kuzan's
But
will.
instead, he opts to move above it.
What?
This is a very curious choice. Okay, he's putting on his own lightning.
Ooh,
So
that's
he's doing this. He doesn't want Kuzan to be able to move in and mount any sort of offensive on that.
yeah, that's
So he's just going with that. With the health disadvantage, the residual ticking away on Kurono isn't too high. I believe it's just the residual core damage from that dissipate that was used earlier. And Kuzan uses the dual resist. He is stuck outside of his AoE now, so Kurono could get a free hit. If he had residuals, this would be a great time to use them. But since he doesn't, the heal reduction would honestly be a great choice here with Kuzan down to 8,000 health. He could pop heal reduction now, and then offense boost. Oh, he opts for the dual resist.
um.
He should
I
have pressed the advantage here. He has the lightning to use for a shield.
yeah. I
Ah, the offense nerf, the poison
oh,
comes out of Kuzan. Interestingly, this didn't break all of Corona's lightning. It still left 2 squares. So he
it did
moves
for
back through it.
one.
Maybe he'll try to dissipate this? No, instead he's using the range boost again.
See, again, I fully think if Kurono, I agree with you, had used his heal reduction right there, he could have timed it with his ulti and his peer and probably won. And I have to,
Right, because even with Kuzan being down to 8,000 health there, oh, the barrier trap just comes out of Kuzan. This actually makes things very dangerous for Corona. He
I
uses the range boost. He didn't use an offense boost. So he might be able to punch through this with the dissipate if he has it. But that's about it.
he can't. I actually think Kuzan might be able to win off this.
Oh, there's just the dissipate 323 damage. Corona needs to be a little bit careful. Kuzan's down to 8,000 health. He has the opportunity to heal here. It looks like he's backing off. Oh, he's just going to use the CR. He's
Why
setting
didn't
up
he
for
move
that dangerous
forward though?
combo.
He could have moved in though.
Yeah, that's very true. He may be trying to move back and keep distance to set up for an AoE. However, they both have 3 movement squares. So Corona's going to be able to move right into his face right now. Corona needs to do something fast. That combo is going to hurt. He has a very small opportunity. He could try to get a heal reduction off now because
To
we
be
know
honest,
Kuzan's going to be wanting to heal within a couple turns. And then Corona, after popping the heal reduction, could then play defensive to try to stop Kuzan's combo. And he
you
could
see
use his
those
own
ticks
healing.
already though, Levi?
Yeah, 200 damage is quite a lot there.
On half a tick. I actually am curious if Kuzan could ultimate right now and just end it. His ultimate
There's a
has
chance that he could. It looks like Corona
Mm,
doesn't want to take the chance off that.
I
So he's going to
actually think
pop his
that's
heal.
I think that's better for Kuzan actually because it gives Kuzan a second. Oh,
He pops a single MLA through that, bringing Corona down to
that
6,000 health. There won't be any residuals except for the core left, so Corona does have a small opportunity here. He can get about 1 attack on a Kuzan before he has to start playing defensive against Kuzan's combo. He's going to opt for the Sword Seal. I'm not sure if that's optimal. Didn't Kuzan already use his Sword CR just like
it is.
2 turns ago?
It's because of his ultimate. Because Kuzan actually did that play because he wanted to combo it by now using his shop CR and using his ulti MLA.
Yeah, well, that's true. This still leaves you to wonder. Maybe Corona should have saved that Sword Seal, because
He
it's not like
should.
Kuzan is going to use his ultimate immolate with only his that small 50 residual from his core active.
He wouldn't have. It actually would have been much better if Kurono went for his ulti right there. Because his ulti would have done probably about 4,000
I mean,
damage.
he could, but I think the heal reduction still would have been a better choice because the problem is maybe he does 4,000 damage to Kuzan, but Kuzan is just going to pop the 7,000 heal and he's just going to heal
You are.
back up to almost full. So if he uses the heal reduction, he then has a chance to either force Kuzan to play defensive, which means Kuzan can't pull off his immolate combo. Okay.
There's
The
his ult.
Pure comes out from Kurono, breaking through the ice, but it only does 2,200 damage. This brings
No,
Kurono down to 4,300. Kurono's actually dangerously low now. Kuzan is potentially in range of
he
winning
can
this.
use his CR right
Depending on
now.
how low the pools are, even the base damage of his immolate with a single, just a little bit of residual, just a little bit of immolate could do it. He doesn't want to take the chance though. He brings out the heal. Kurono wasn't able to use the heal reduction before to stop this.
Actually, Levi, he couldn't because his sword was sealed.
Oh, that's true. You're right.
Yeah, but he could have CR'd actually right there. He could have used his shop
Yeah,
CR.
he did have a CR available. Corona's moving on now. We'll see what option he takes. There's a heal from him. Oh, the innate heal reduction because he already healed a couple turns ago.
Thing about this, because of their low pulls, I think because of Ultimate Immolate, he can actually shop CR Immolate and probably still kill Kurono. That Ultimate Immolate
There
does
is a
a lot
chance
of
there.
damage.
Yeah, maybe not with the shop CR. If he has his sword CR come up again, he could do it. Which,
It's
like we
so
mentioned earlier, the
sad.
cooldown on that is only 4 turns. So it's not out of the realm of possibility he could get that up soon. Here comes the shop CR. It does 658 damage. It's not as high as we've seen.
Mm. You
There's a
do have to
slight chance
remember.
if you include the base damage of the ultimate immolation with the immolate, he
Yeah.
might be able to pull it off. It would be pretty close.
It's not a risky play either though because Kurono actually
Right.
just healed.
Yeah,
So
and Kuzan also has full health, so it's not exactly like there's any real chance of him dying here. With the ice coming out of Kurono, that leaves Kuzan just able to move into his face. Is he going to go for it here?
is.
Is he going to go for the immolate? There's 9,000 health. Oh, but it doesn't do
Mm-mm.
that much. 2,500 base, 3,000 immolate. That
But
is the
Kurono
cooldown
cannot do that.
down. And that's a long cooldown. That's 10 turns. He can't pull off that combo. This
It
does
is.
give Kuzan a window here. And now Kurono's able to use his ice for his shield. Is he going to be able to actually get anything off? There's no way Kuzan's going to be able to hit with 3,000 damage for anything through the ice. So Kurono has at least one turn of relative safety here.
He does, but you have to remember now. That looks like that was.
2,600 damage from the rank 6 pure. The Spirit Pure, and then 432 tick from the ice. That brings Kuzan fairly low, 7,000 health.
It
That's only
does.
3,800 above Kurono. That's barely
Kurono,
within. If Kurono's ult is coming off soon, that could be pretty dangerous.
Kurono has about 5 turns left on his ult still.
Kuzan uses the dual resist here. Kurono should definitely use heal reduction. Kuzan's getting
Yes.
very low. If Kurono moves in and heal reductions now, that would perfectly set up for maybe a pure into ult combo later. He's moving over. We'll see what he's got. 34 residual damage ticking on him is not enough. Oh, he's using the lightning instead.
Lightning.
But this is just going to give Kuzan the chance to heal. You've got to use that heal reduction,
Not
especially
to
in these
mention,
balanced fights against double heal users.
you have to remember Kuzan's Spirit Trap is coming. A Barrier Trap is coming back up again as well.
It is indeed. And Kurono burned both of his heals already. He's going to be pretty
Yeah.
careful. Oh, the poison is not able to break the ice. We'll see if Kuzan moves up to that ice square up above, which would be safer. He has to start being a little bit careful. Once that ice wears off, Kurono's going to be very vulnerable since he burned both of his heals. So he may
By
have to
the
use his
way,
barrier soon. Oh, here comes the dual resist, but
why didn't he move?
yeah, he
I
should have moved back away from that poison
I
that
think
Kuzan
he's
is going to get
dead.
to use for his zone of control. The dual resist will block Kuzan from being able to immediately kill him, but he could just activate the CR. And once the dual resist
Dead.
wears
The
off,
sword CR.
500 damage through the dual resist.
By the
That's just
way,
going to kill Kurono if he doesn't have a heal come up soon.
By the way, Kuzan does have a secondary armor immolate, or his armor immolate, and that should be up by now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he'd be able to quite have enough damage through the dual resist. We'll see. Maybe Kurono's going to opt for the barrier here. It would certainly be the safe play because his at least one of his heals should be coming up soon. No, instead he's opting for the dissipate. It does 1,700 damage. I mean, that's pretty good. But Kurono's down to 2,000 health. Kuzan might even be able to finish this through the DR. He does! 1,300 damage and 2,700. This is from the shop immolate. With that
Yeah.
damage, Kuzan takes down Kurono in round 3. Kuzan's going to take round 3, the match, and win the rank 6 finals.
3-0. I will be completely honest with you. I think Kurono had a chance to win pretty much all of those matches.
He definitely did. I'm not sure if the nerves got to him or what. He was using the range boost, and he just used it in situations that weren't accurate. He used the range boost, and then he would move in,
And the
which is
sword
just
seal, it was
yeah. And he used the sword
everyone
seal in
had a good
some
time.
inopportune times as well. It was pretty unfortunate. Perhaps the pressure got to him.
Well,
Either way, it looks like Kuzan was able to sit through it. The experience showed through, and
definitely.
Kuzan is the winner for your rank 6 championship.
I will